have a secret I need to get off my chest. My most played game this year, by far, isn't Melee or Rivals or even Project M. It's Street Fighter. Actually, it's probably Balatro, but I don't know, that's a different problem. I just passed the 10th anniversary of my very first Smash tournament ever, which ironically was run by Rick, the guy who now manages Evo and Combo Breaker. I've been playing platform fighters competitively for literally a decade. I'm a content creator. I commentate national grand finals. I am deep in the sauce, and I do it for a ton of games. But traditional fighting games? I just couldn't get over the initial hurdle. I'd watch a huge event or get hyped about some new game coming out and play it for like 5 to 10 hours on average, and then I'd bounce off of it to go back to what I was comfortable with. So when I tell you that the genre now has me in a vice grip, I need you to believe me. I've gone back and given Strive a second shot now, and I had a blast with the 2XKO Alpha Lab. After so many earlier attempts, what was it that made it click? I think to answer this, it'll be easier to first go over what my biggest hurdle was, because in the end, that roadblock was exactly what made the genre so cool. Honestly, traditional fighting games were so difficult for me to get into because they were so close to being familiar. They were similar enough that the differences felt even more alien and uncomfortable when I was trying to learn a new genre. On a basic level, both platform fighters and traditional fighters follow the same fundamental rules of fighting games. They really are just two admittedly very distinct subgenres within the larger fighting game ecosystem. You control your little guy and you hit the other dude. There's combos, neutral, blocking, and mix-ups. Link is there. But the way these common fundamentals express themselves are totally different. Except for Link, he's terrible in both. I'm going to skip the obvious because I trust you all to understand how platforms and health bars work, but like, between the two genres, every core of the gameplay has been tweaked in some small way. So, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm going to break down what it was like learning fighting games by comparing and contrasting platform fighters and traditional fighters. They're similar enough that you feel like you should know what you're doing, which leads to this uncanny valley of having good ideas and no clue how to implement them. Or you're gonna get hit by the exact same knowledge check over and over again that you know isn't real, but you don't know the answer, so I guess you just gotta hold that one. I already had nearly a decade of learning to read player habits from other games. The number of times I'd sit there and think, all right, so they're gonna go for an overhead and RC on block, and then I would watch myself get hit by exactly what I predicted because I could read habits, but that didn't mean I knew how to actually do anything about it. It's like that graph of ability versus time, except if the, oh wow, I kinda suck, pain point got stretched out because I'd already put in the time, just not in a way that directly translated to mechanical skill. I think the reason Street Fighter 6 was the one that clicked for me was because it gave me clear, distinct things to learn. It was a bit more immediately understandable compared to the bombastic gameplay of, say, Strive or Skullgirls. It gave me the foundation to go back and appreciate those more anyways. Because the biggest thing in transitioning from plat fighters to traditional fighting games is learning that there is always a clear answer to what you are dealing with. Neutral in Smash is muddy. We talk about threat zones and dash dance timings, and character percents can totally change the kinds of openings you're looking for, or even what risks you're willing to take. Some characters want to fight against aerial opponents facing backwards, but grounded ones facing forwards. It can get real weird real fast, and you need to be ready for any sort of movement, and it could come at you from 100 different variations on spacing and timing. Stages will flip a matchup on its head. Are they going to waveland up through a platform? Are they going to shield drop? Are they approaching on the ground from the air, or going through you to bait out a panic option? There's never one right answer. In fighting games, Neutral is significantly more straightforward based on your character's toolkit. You're both playing footsies in neutral looking to whiff punish a misspaced targets. Jump-ins beat fireballs, anti-airs beat jump-ins, and fireballs force approach. And usually these moves are committal enough that it has to be a read on the other player's habits, or a prayer they're not gonna react fast enough. A jump-in over a fireball could lead to massive damage, but go for that without a solid beat on when they like to throw Sonic Boom, or jump because the boom is already on the screen and you're eating flash kicks all day. Most of the characters in traditional fighting games have even more unique, character-specific tools to help them find their openings. But even these are still clearly defined options with clearly intentional counterplay. As long as we're not talking about 3D fighters, because those still confuse me, I am very sorry, Tekken. Offensive pressure mix-ups in these titles can almost always be cleanly split into a few categories. Strike throw, left-right, high-low, and a little bit more nebulous, traps. Strike throw is a 50-50 mix-up that is exactly what it sounds like. Are they going to hit me or throw me? If I guess wrong, I'm either taking the throw or getting opened up for a combo. Left-right mix-ups are based on ambiguous hitboxes. In fighting games, you need to block left or right, so you don't just have a shield that covers all of you. And some jump-ins can be incredibly deceptive on which side they're going to hit on. Or there's some moves that are designed with this in mind. Which side is he gonna appear on? I hope you guessed right! You also have to block standing or crouching in most of these games. Jumping attacks and overheads require you to block high or standing up, while lows need you to block while crouching. Mids just need to be blocked at all, because either way, that would have hit you, you dingus. There's a ton of block strings that can choose between high and low, or empty jumps that can sneak in a low after conditioning someone. And these are all usually within human reaction time. But can you react fast enough when there's pressure on the line? And finally, there's frame traps and spacing traps. Openings that only work because of the folly of mankind's hubris. Both of these rely on someone blocking a move that looks like it should be punishable. I mean, there's clearly a gap in pressure there. I should push a button to take my turn. Oh, yeah, right. For a spacing trap, even though a move is theoretically unsafe because the frame counter says it's your turn, most characters just can't reach far enough, fast enough, and they'll get whiff punished for attempting it. Congrats! You're now applying pressure with the power of time and space to hit someone in a video game. And in Plat Fighters, it is like everything is a frame trap and a spacing trap. And not even ones that maintain the same frame advantage or spacing. One time I told some fighting game friends that it's like if every single move in Rivals was a Kami dive kick, because every single move has variable pressure based on spacing. And I watch grown adults cry. Hey, I'm struggling to deal with spacey shine pressure on shield. Ah, well, I mean, you could roll, or you could aerial out of shield if they've misspaced a bit, or you could just shield longer, or you could wave dash out of shield. But all of those could also get punished too if they're looking for them. Every step of the neutral game dance is freeform and fluid, instead of the fighting game line dance, where if you get the 50-50 read, you can counter hit your dance partner into a devastating combo, or at least confidently reset the situation. That's not to say that fighting games can't be disgusting in a complimentary way.
Oh, yeah, gets a happy birthday. Let's see if Havoc can bring this back.
It almost has 5 meters. This is actually terrifying. Oh my goodness. Happy birthday. That's not gonna kill, but that's
Just because they have clearly defined answers doesn't mean that those answers are easy to do. Learning fighting games made me deeply appreciate having defined situations I could look up answers to, because I've never had that in Smash before. I notice I'm getting hit by something a bunch, I can look it up, or I can explore it in training mode. I can learn what the clearly intentional mix-up designed into the game is, and practice some different options for how to handle each variation of the mix-up. What's a medium? Why do I keep getting hit? Time to Google. The knowledge checks in fighting games have answers that are clearly intended by the developers. But when I look up something similar for Melee, I'm hit by a 7-year-old forum post that says, yeah, I mean, I don't know, man, just try moving better? The push and pull of the two genres is truly beautiful. I love that I can learn and improve in an extremely specific ways in Street Fighter. And I love that whenever I watch Smash, I see something I have never seen before, even in a 23-year-old game. The core design philosophy of each genre brings something special to the table. Did you know you could block in the air in most anime fighters? I played Strive a month before I learned that one. I've talked a lot about neutral and finding openings for a topic that's usually dominated by pithy jokes about how Smash players can't learn combos and how fighting game players can only follow a recipe. So let's talk about what learning that actually was like. I am not going to talk about motion inputs here at all. If you can learn to wave dash, you can learn to do a dragon punch input and vice versa. Remember when I said that each gameplay system has some small differences that lead to the uncanny valley feeling? Combos and Punish Game are where that road diverges. Platfighter combos force the combatants to continue to engage in mental warfare, where outside of bursts, which I'll get to, traditional fighters tend to become a one-man show of execution and resource management. These are both good, they're just different. In platform fighters, the genre-wide staple mechanic of directional influence, or DI, means the person being comboed still has some level of engagement. Some combos are still true follow-ups, but you can DI to make them more difficult. Others aren't true at all, but they rely on knowing what direction the person is likely to be holding next. We'll speak from the perspective of the person performing the combo here, just to keep things simple. And I'm going to keep this all at like 1 to 2 level of mind games to avoid overcomplicating it, but trust me, this only continues to get deeper. If you think your opponent is holding out to try to escape a combo, you might want to try to hit them with a kill move to finish them off early. Or are they holding in because they expect the strong kill move? Then tap them with a combo extender to tack on a little extra damage and fully secure the stock later. And then there's SDI and slide offs, and the list goes on. It's not always easy, and there's usually not one right, correct answer. But if you're getting comboed, there's always a way to at least make it a little bit more difficult. In fighting games, if you're getting comboed, you gotta hold that one, buddy. Think about your life choices for a bit and then come back. In fighting games with bursts like Guilty Gear, though, you can punch your get out of jail ticket as long as you have the meter for it. But I didn't say get out of jail free for a reason. Because if you get hit by a burst bait, just start prepping for the next time you finally stand up. For the person doing the combo, though, there's still a lot to think about. In these games, there's typically some sort of meter, a resource you need to balance. It's strong, but use too much and you won't have the juice to do a little bit more later. And on top of that, there's usually a super meter as well. When you're going through your combo flowchart, you're balancing tons of different game objectives depending on the game state. Do I want to go for high damage because I'm getting close to killing? Or should I carry them to the corner so I've got better positioning for Oki afterwards? Should I spend meter to finish with a knockdown so I have offensive advantage? Or should I save it in case I need to use a defensive DP later? Should I try to get a kill without spending super so I can save it for the next round? Or is playing another neutral exchange just a risk I'm not willing to take? Fighting games have tricked you into playing a resource management simulator. The risk reward is still there in both genres, but it's all in the hands of the player performing the combos in traditional fighting games. And that's why the criticism of all the combos are the same, it's just a flowchart, just isn't true. Or it means you've only played at a low level where players only know their one route without any deviation. It's a skill you gotta build up. Foxes that learn to multi-shine before they learn how to play neutral are the same as Kens that meter dump for max damage and then they'll play the rest of the round in burnout. You will not change my mind. Learning fighting games as a smasher has been, at times, extremely aggravating and stressful, but it's also one of the most rewarding endeavors I've ever gone through. Within gaming, building up my fledgling gameplay knowledge and mechanical dexterity to match my previously developed skills of analyzing player habits and performing under tournament pressure has felt amazing. My local scene has been incredibly welcoming. Shoutouts to the MNFGC and Run the Mix. Even my platform fighter skills have leveled up from this. Despite splitting my time among even more titles, skills transfer. If you've ever watched EVO or Combo Breaker and you've had a great time as a spectator, but haven't really played yourself, this is me telling you to give it a shot. And it's the same for the other way around. I know that some FGC folks clicked on this, and Melee and Rivals 2 are right there, and they do both have rollback. Learn it with a friend and give it a shot. There's a siren in the background. I don't know if you can hear that. Let's wait for a sec. And if you don't know anyone IRL who's down, look up your local scene, or even join my Discord. I promise you'll find some people who are more than willing to show a new player the ropes, for either genre.